Welcome into another edition of Hot Hoops, where we will be breaking down the men's basketball team's future, how the women's basketball team shut down Iona guard Marina Lizarazu. To break down the men's team, I'm joined alongside Dylan Fearon. Dylan, how are you?
It's always good to see you, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Dylan, the Fairfield Stags traveled to Quinnipiac to take on the Bobcats in the game that both teams desperately needed to win. This game came down to the wire. It might be one of the best I've ever seen at TD Bank. Let's jump right into it. Dylan, Fairfield Stags coming to Quinnipiac. We will start 3 minutes left in the game, Dylan. That's how exciting it was in the game. Freshman sensation Peter Kiss, his layup will put Quinnipiac down just 2 points. Then after a Fairfield free throw, Phil Winston passed it to his buddy Chase Daniels. Ball goes in, out, and back in again. Quinnipiac would remain down, however, with 1:23 left to go. 30 seconds left. Who are you going to? Peter Kiss.
Gotta be the
that
freshman.
layup would give the Bobcats the lead by 1. Then 16 seconds left. Fairfield gets stuffed by Peter Kiss. We got to see that one again. That was one of the best plays I've seen here at Lender Court. Peter Kiss gets up, denies him. Quinnipiac remains up with 16 seconds to go.
Josh, Phil Winston just makes 1 of 2, and Fairfield has a chance to tie it down 2 with 3.5 seconds
How
to
are you
go.
only doing that, Dylan? Look, he gets right behind the defense right there, pass it to his teammate. Now Fairfield would tie the game with 0.1 seconds left. Tie the game. Tom Mora, how are you not coaching him up? Then Peter Kiss could not hit the three-quarter shot. I couldn't hit that, Dylan.
I actually think I would have hit it.
Dylan, you're dreaming if you think you could hit that. We're going into overtime. Jerry Johnson Jr. is the name to know in overtime. His two-pointer there would put Fairfield up 1. He was not done, though. Peter Kiss misses a 3. Johnson hits the 3. Fairfield would go up 4. Then under 1:30 left in overtime. Johnson again. Fairfield up 5 this time. But Quinnipiac, there's no die in this team. Mikey Dixon hits a mid-range shot. Quinnipiac down 3. Ball is still a ball game, Dylan. Phil Winston misses, and Chase Daniels with the Sports Center top 10 play. I think it could have been Quinnipiac down 2, and now Peter Kiss, he's got it. He's the man. Come on, Peter Kiss. But he misses the shot. Fairfield would win by 3 in a heartbreaker Tom Moore squad. Could they recover? We'll find out later in the show. But Dylan, what are your general impressions?
Well, it's always a battle when these two teams play. The last 6 games, it's been a split: 3 wins for Fairfield, 3 wins for Quinnipiac. The road team has won every single game, so Quinnipiac's 3 losses to Fairfield have come at home, and they've all come in overtime or in double overtime. So it's been very tight between these two teams. They're in-state rivals. They don't like playing each other. They like playing each other. They don't like losing to each other. It's always a tough battle when these two teams play. The environment was electric. You know, there were a lot of people at the game. It was a crazy game. Quinnipiac's down 16, 46-30. They fight their way back. They're up 2. If Phil Winston can make 2 at the free throw line instead of 1, they end up being up 3 with 3.5 seconds left, forcing Fairfield to make a 3-pointer to send it into overtime. Instead, they're only down 2, and Quinnipiac, what they were trying to do was deny Tyler Nelson the ball. Fairfield star player Tyler Nelson, deny him the basketball, with Fairfield inbounding from underneath their own basket. Instead, Tyler Nelson, since there is the ball denial, the only way he can run is towards the other basket. And so what he does is, Sidibe catches it at half court. Then he fires a pass to the cutting Nelson going towards the basket because it's the only direction he can go into. And he finishes nicely, has plenty of time, a great IQ play. I mean, Fairfield, you got to understand, Josh, Fairfield won this game for a couple of reasons. One, they were just smarter than Quinnipiac, and they just had a little bit more fight than the Bobcats that
Dylan,
night.
we'll always be wondering what if, but in an awesome segment, you and Tom Cunningham went to the court to talk about the men's basketball team's struggles and successes on the court. Take a look.
Cunningham right on Lender Court, and today we're going to dissect and pinpoint exactly where on the court Quinnipiac has thrived and struggled this season. Tom, you ready to go?
Let's get right to it.
Let's do it. Okay, Tom, let's start right here beyond the three-point line. Quinnipiac has some shooters. Mikey Dixon and Peter Kiss can shoot the rock. Andrew Robinson, Phil Winston, Reggie Oliver off that bench have the ability to knock shots down, but they've been unsuccessful so far this season, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's been sort of a Jekyll and Hyde team from the three-point line. You go back the last 2 games, the team hit 16 three-pointers against Ryder in that loss, and hit 4 three-pointers against Fairfield in that loss. So it's just sort of a tale of 2 teams when it comes to the three-point line. The team sits at 7th in the MAC, right around where their standings have been all season at 33% from 3. Nobody on this team in the top 15 in three-point percentage from the field. Mikey Dixon, 37%. He's the leader on this team. You know, you mentioned guys like Andrew Robinson. He comes out, hits 5 threes against Ryder, just 1 3 against Fairfield. It's just sort of a tale of 2 teams from the three-point line.
Part of that struggle might have come from Danny Harris, who shot 40% from three-point range last season, just 33.6 this year. Tom, last one, let's talk rebounding. In the past few years, Quinnipiac has been known nationally for its ability around the basketball, both offensively and defensively. This year, not as great of a production, but still very noticeable in the MAC.
Yeah, I think so many people are used to Quinnipiac being near the top of the nation in rebounding. This year they take a little bit of a step back, but still a great rebounding team. They sit at 4th in the MAC with a plus 1.5 rebounding margin, and they're getting 14 offensive rebounds per game, getting a ton of second chance opportunities, which is definitely going to help in the close games in the latter half of the MAC schedule and going into the MAC tournament. They've taken a little bit of a step back in defensive rebounding. Guys like Chase Daniels, Abdullah Bundu, and Donovan Smith before he went down with the injury were really doing a great job rebounding, especially for a team right in the mid-pack of the MAC.
You know, in past years, we've seen senior big men really step up and dominate the boards, like an Ike Azatam, like an Usman Jame. This year, Chase Daniels is a junior. Donovan Smith is a senior, but he's out with that broken foot. Abdullah Bundu, Alan Cheek, and Jaquan Jones, all underclassmen, are, you know, just not that star-studded big man that Quinnipiac is used to. Tom, thank you very much.
Great work there, Dylan. The Bobcats traveled to Manhattan to take on the lonely Jaspers. Jaspers entered the game with only 4 wins compared to Quinnipiac's 7. The conference, however, Quinnipiac didn't look like a team with 7 wins, even though it was only 7. Dylan, they lost that game. They shouldn't have lost that game. Was Peter Kiss the reason that they lost that game?
Is that a trick question? Because
Is it a trick question? I don't know.
Because Peter Kiss has been balling all season long. You lose one game, you're on the road. It's a crazy environment when you go play at Drady Gymnasium in Riverdale, New York. You know, you're a freshman. You haven't played in, you know, so many big road games before with electric environments. Yeah, he had a struggling year.
Manhattan had 4 wins.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Manhattan's been to the NCAA tournament 2 of the last 3 years. You know, Steve Massiello is a great coach. You're a freshman on the road in an environment you haven't really played in before. You got to give him a break. I mean, you can't expect a freshman to continue to bowl every single game and show up every single night. Yes, he struggled that game. But that's not the sole reason Quinnipiac lost. The reason that Quinnipiac has been losing is because of their defense. They've had absolutely brutal defense the last 4 games. And so you look at the St. Peter's game, they allow 52%. You look at the, you know, Manhattan game, 54%. Fairfield, 48%, and then Rider, 59%. Tom Moore wants to hold opponents to under 40% from the field. And you look at those numbers, it's not even close. Not even close. Quinnipiac's defense has been absolutely brutal and embarrassing as of late. If they want to win the last 2 regular season games and win something in the MAC tournament, the defense has got to step up. It's not just the offense. Mikey Dixon and Peter Kiss will show up tournament time. Can the defense stop other teams from getting buckets? And I think the answer is no. The defense has been absolutely brutal. Brutal.
All right, well done. Let's move on to the MAC standing, where the Bobcats sit in 8th place with 7 wins. Manhattan last, and you said big road game. I don't think it was a big road game. Manhattan last in the conference. Monmouth at first. They have clinched the #1 seed in the conference. We'll be up there in Albany. Dylan, that will be a great one to see. Dylan, thank you for stopping by.
You're welcome.
Don't go anywhere. The women's basketball team, beat reporter Brian Schwartz will join me on the desk. Very excited for that, so stick around.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
And welcome into Studio 125.
So what? So what?
If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac Intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say, yes, there is a controversy.
Line, getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monmouth player.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Ball played up the middle. Iman Whalen with a little cheat off the play. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
All this and more.
Coming up on the Q30 Newscast.
Welcome back to Hot Hoops. I am joined by women's basketball connoisseur, Brian Schwartz. Brian, very happy to have you with us. Let's get right into it. Women's basketball team took on the Iona Gales in a revenge game of the 2015 MAC Championship Finals. We will go to that highlight now. The Bobcats lost to the Gales earlier this season, 58-44. They want revenge. Ali Martucci wanted revenge. Will they get their revenge? We will see. Early in the third quarter, Iona Amelia Motts misses the layup She was able to get her own rebound. She scores. Iona would lead 24-20. However, that lead would not last long. A few plays later, Ali Martucci passes to Jen Fay, who's been a great player for the Bobcats coming back from an injury. Could be able to lead 25-24, the first lead since 7-minute mark of the second quarter. Then fourth quarter, Marina Lizarazu with a great pass to Tori Lesko, who scores. Quinnipiac would lead 43-41, but the game was not over yet. Quinnipiac calls it a timeout. There's a reason Trisha Fabry has 2 MAC Player of the Year awards. MAC Coach of the Year awards. She knows what to do. Erin McClure, the MAC Rookie of the Year last year, she would get the basket. Bobcats would have the lead. Then, in the final minute, McClure's free throws would give the Bobcats a 51-45 lead. Quinnipiac would go on to win 43-45. McClure finishes with 13 points in just 29 minutes. Quinnipiac avenges an early loss to Iona in the season. Now, Brian, what are your general impressions from the game?
General impressions from the game was that Iona team is a team that wants to face Quinnipiac again. They want a rematch. We talked to Adelaide Martucci yesterday, and she said when they come at playoff time, they're going to want to face them again because they want that revenge from last year's MAC championship game. And Adelaide Martucci, she's a great player. She's a great defender. She's not going to have Marina Lizarazu down to 4 points again in another game. That was just a sensational performance from her. And Marina Lizarazu is just too good a player to be held to that low point total. And she's just so good. Alexis Lewis is so good. They're just too tough to stop. I mean, both teams want to face each other. They both want revenge. Adelaide Martucci, she had a great game. McClure had a great game. Sarah Schuin even had a great game. So Quinnipiac is stepping in the right direction. They have all things going for them, but they need to continue it.
Would you say it's the Cavs Warriors of the MAC?
Yeah, I think it is. I think these are definitely the 2 best teams. Record-wise, it might not show it for Iona, but I think they're there. They're right there. I think they're the only team that really is going to contend with Quinnipiac in the postseason.
Maury Hirschgarten sat down with Brittany Martin's father, who has been to almost every game he could be to between Brittany and Jasmine Martin. Here it is.
Mike Martin lives and breathes Quinnipiac basketball. For the past 6 years, he has watched both of his daughters suit up in the blue and gold. But it's his dedication that makes him stand out from the rest.
We know that he's always going to be in the stands. He's only missed 2 games this season, so it's good to know that he's always going to be there.
Just 2 games out of 27, both home and away. That's pretty impressive for any fan, let alone someone who lives over 3 hours away from Hamden.
I try to get here about an hour ahead of time. I get to look and see how the girls are shooting, whether I have to give them a little signal from the stands.
Whether the signal comes before or during the game, it's the impact that counts. Down by 7 points in the semifinals of Jasmine's sophomore year, Mike took matters into his own hands.
He looked at me and he was like, go to work, like take over. And I had like a crazy game. It was awesome.
It is this exact seat that Mike Martin watches the majority of the Quinnipiac home games in, but on the road, he says that he's had some pretty close calls with Mother Nature.
It was just a whiteout. We couldn't see anything, and I wanted to turn around. I'm following the lights of a truck in front of me.
My uncle was terrified for his life, said they couldn't see like 30 feet in front of them, but my dad will by any means necessary, make it.
But what is he going to do this spring when Jasmine moves to Australia to play pro ball?
Find a 2-week window of opportunity so I can maximize the number of games I go to.
And even if he misses a few more than 2 games because he's halfway around the world, it's the love, support, and confidence that will stay with her.
He believed in me, and that made me believe in myself too.
Reporting in Hamden, Maury Hirschgarten, Q30 Sports.
Great work there by Maury. Now, moving into the Manhattan game, the Quinnipiac Bobcats beat the Manhattan Jaspers 69-49, a game they were expected to win. Manhattan is a good team, not a great team. Quinnipiac is a great team. Now, let me ask you, Ali Martucci had double-digit points in the game. Is she the leading scorer moving forward?
No, she's not the leading scorer going forward. Quinnipiac, we know this whole year, they've relied upon depth. They have 3, 4, 5 top scorers that can really carry the load. We've seen in the last 5 games, Erin McClure's totals have stepped up. 13.4 points per game in her last 5 games. Adelaide Martucci, 12.8 points per game in her last 5 games. That's up 3-4 points from their season totals before that. And we've seen even Sarah Schuin step up. Jen Fay is a leading scorer right now. They have so many players that I don't think you can really give it to Adelaide Martucci. Although she's a great player, she's not the player.
All right, Brian, now we will take a look ahead at the MAC standings. Bobcats currently sit first place in the conference with Rider right on their tail. The Bobcats can clinch a clinch the number 1 seed with a win against Marist on Thursday. Then we have Iona. We talked about them in third place, and Fairfield tied with them. I think all three of those teams under Quinnipiac can give the Bobcats trouble in the tournament.
Yes, they can give them trouble, but we've already seen them beat Ryder. They've already beaten Fairfield, and they've beaten Iona. I really think Iona is the toughest test for them out of those three. But Ryder, they've beaten twice, and by a fairly good amount. So I don't think they're really as concerned with Ryder as much. I think this team really can't be stopped right now. I think they're on a roll, 5 in a row. They've played so well. Everyone's stepping up, like we just said. They have so much going on, so much going well for them, and that's why they probably won't be stopped.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for stopping by for this episode. To follow all of our content moving forward, make sure you visit our website at www.q30television.com. Follow our beat reporters on Twitter at Dylan Fearon _, at Brian Schwartz 15. Follow me on Twitter at Josh M. Silverman. Thank you so much for watching.